Hello, this is Brian with Ghosts of Georgia Paranormal Investigations, and today's Tech Talk is on the SB11 Spirit Box. You may have heard of the SB7 Spirit Box. It's used widely on ghost shows and it's been featured in some movies. The SB11 is a more updated version with a lot of new features. However, before we go into those features and how Ghosts of Georgia uses it, I'd like to just help folks understand how the device works. To put it simply, the Spirit Box sweeps through the FM and AM channels at fast or slow rates, depending on what we decide we need, and we'll go over that feature in a second. The white noise that's generated from the Spirit Box can be used, theoretically, by spirits to verbally communicate with the investigators. And much like EVPs that are recorded on digital recorders, this device amplifies the response with its internal speakers and typically can be captured on the digital recorders. So let's jump into the features. The first thing you'll notice when you look at this is you have two columns. One's named Channel 1, one is Channel 2. That's because one of the features in the SB11, it allows you to simultaneously scan forward in radio stations and in a separate set, scan reverse. Or you could scan forward with both. The dependency on whether you do one over the other is really the radio channel interference you're getting. On the side here, which I'm turning, you'll notice right here there's a slider button. This slider is for us to turn off the antenna. The idea of not having an antenna, and matter of fact, you'll see this one's pushed down as well as turned off, is we don't want radio station interference. We are looking for that pure white noise. There are times where if you are located underneath or very close to a radio tower, you still will get some bleed over. And we'll talk about different ways to combat that in a second. The second slider that you see here is whether you want to use the temperature feature, so it measures the temperature and alerts on it, or if you'd like to have the light on. If you turn the light on, this would come out here. It's a red light, and sometimes it can help you if you've dropped something. We typically leave it off. We have found the temperature feature to be a little flaky on the SB11 and misreport. So we just typically don't use it. So let's go into what these different channels mean. As you might remember, the channel 1 and channel 2 scan differently. So if we are under a radio tower, we can use both those channels to help cut out even more of the radio station chatter. So let's go ahead and turn it on, and I'll talk through how Ghosts of Georgia uses it first, and then what happens if you would like to use it a little differently. So let's turn it on, and you're going to hear some white noise. That's the white noise. Typically, Ghosts of Georgia will set the function to just channel 1. And we use channel 1 only because we have found that we get clearer messages, clearer words. We typically set our sweep rate to 150. Again, that is how fast it's scanning through those radio stations. And then we click forward. We typically scan forward. And so you'll hear that unique sound. If I did at any point want to turn the volume up or down, there's volume buttons here to do that. So earlier I mentioned about if you're under a radio station or if you're getting a lot of radio bleed over. That's when you may want to use both channels. And you'll notice both channels are on by the red lights here. If only one channel is on, it's there. So if you remember, we set channel 1 to 150. Channel 2, we will also set, with using the sweep rate button, to 150. And we'll put that one in reverse. Turn channel 1 to forward. By doing this, we now have made it near impossible to get a clear word or a clear sentence from a radio station. The speed of which we are scanning through makes that near impossible anyway. However, this will ensure if you are getting radio bleed over, if you're close to a tower, that you're eliminating whatever remains. As I stated before, Ghosts of Georgia typically just goes in one channel. One last thing I want to mention before we end is on the side here. You will notice that there are plugins for your headsets. We rarely use the plugins because if we have it plugged in, it takes it only through the headphones and we can't record it on our digital recorder. And we'd like to capture that for all of the in-home investigations that we're doing. If we're doing a special investigation, such as a sanatorium or maybe some other prison, we may do that just so that we can segregate the person who's hearing the answers from the person who's asking the questions. So that is the SB11. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to Ghosts of Georgia Paranormal Investigations.